loved seeing this with an audience. I'm curious how many times you've seen it with an audience. Or if
I haven't seen it with an audience.
Oh
I'm seeing it with an audience for the first time tomorrow night. And then there's a London premiere and a New York premiere. And then I'll never watch it again. But yes, I do think that this particular film lends itself to a theatrical experience. Because it's an incredibly made film, and you know the sound in itself is really spectacular, which is not something that I would usually comment on, but it is really, really outstanding and contributes to the whole kind of piece in a really profound way. But also, it is a scary movie, and there's a kind of nervous energy that builds up amongst people when you're watching it together. And I imagine there's a sense of kind of safety in numbers with this one.
It was really interesting to just see kind of grown men
cover their faces
and like there's like a nervous laughter.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm not scared.
Yeah.
But you're so right about the sound. It was like that's something I normally wouldn't even have noticed.
And it's not distracting. It really like contributes and feeds the story. But it's very specific and kind of fascinating, right?
It was. It was like there's certain moments where I'm like, is that behind me?
What's going on here?
Wow, it was really incredible.
Oh, cool.
What was it like on set? Because I know Alex Wolff is like a very method actor. Were you kind of all like that on set?
I wouldn't call him method. He likes to torture himself.
He says he is.
Of course he does. He's young. Everyone works differently, and the story was quite demanding. But there was a general sense. I think sometimes when you work on something so dark, then a natural kind of sense of levity presents itself just to balance out the whole experience. Gabriel Byrne is delicious to work with. I cannot believe I had the opportunity to work with him. I've been a fan for so many years. I remember I told him recently when I first came to America, I was doing press for Muriel's wedding, and I was kind of taken around to different parties at Oscar time, and someone had said to me, do you want to come over and meet Madonna? And I was like, okay. And I walked over and she was talking to Gabriel, and I was so excited to meet him. And I would never have envisioned having the opportunity to work with him in the future. So I loved working with him. Anne Dowd, my God, she's the most open, present beacon of light. It's so exciting working with her. There's so much room for spontaneity. And both the kids were very, very good and worked in completely different ways. I think Ari just created, it's really exciting to work with someone who has such a strong, really strong and original vision. And he just knew before, I'm sure 5 years before we even started, he knew every shot, cutting point, nuance, everything that he wanted. And he just, he guided us through.
Yeah, I mean, it was Millie's first film. I think it was Ari's first film as well. Like, what was it about the script that you knew it was something special and unique that you would never...
It was just really obvious and evident. There's nothing like it, which is what you yearn for as an actor. And it was an opportunity to absolutely go for it, and not in a sensationalized, over-dramatized way. It's a very, very honest look at grief, and you kind of watch this family navigating through something so painful and so profound. And once you've invested in them emotionally, you're not expecting that the story's going to go way over there. And I think that's so clever of Ari to have done that. And it was sent to me as a genre piece. I know you're not interested, but just, check this out. And I was reading it going, where's the scary stuff they mentioned? Because to me, it just felt like this kind of poetic, deep, beautiful story.
Yeah, it's like you really don't know where it's going to go, and I feel like a lot of horror movies are very predictable. They kind of go to this climax and then these big moments, but it was really like up and down and kind of all over the place.
Yeah, and I've only seen it. I haven't watched it with an audience. I watched it in a little hotel room in Manchester when I was working on something else. And from the very first shot, I love watching back everybody's work and seeing the culmination of everybody's efforts. But I really could feel from the very first shot, it is so confident in itself. It has its own rhythm. It's not pandering to anything else. And for a first-time director to have just that knowledge and that vision, he really is the real deal. I'm so excited for Ari and to watch what he does.
Yeah. And
he's going to have a real career. He's the real deal.
Did somebody just do the click thing? I swear to God, I just heard. I'm hearing it everywhere. No, this was...
It's funny.
I was like, oh my God. No, I got home last night and somebody slammed a cabinet and I was like, ooh.
I can't watch scary movies. I really can't.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it'll be good that you're with an audience then.
Well, I've got a totally different experience because
Yeah.
I was there obviously making it, but I can't even, I don't know. I like this one because it's not just scary.
Right.
There's so much more to it, but Even as a kid, I'd go to slumber parties and people would put on like Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff like that, and I was never able to stomach it.
Can you pick me up? I gotta go leave this slumber
Mom.
party. I loved watching. This was a really, really, really great performance from you.
Thank you.
What was it like, the physicality on set of, because you had to scream a lot in this movie. What are kind of the
There are a lot of extreme emotions in
Yeah.
this one, and I really loved that she's not, there's a lot about her that's quite contrary, and to be able to, tap into someone's grief and rage and desperation and resentment, and it was just so much. It was so complex, and it was incredibly exhausting, but it was really satisfying in a kind of perverse way. I just think it's something that affects everyone, grief. It's part of the human condition, and I would hate to not just give it a certain amount of truth. So it's your job as an actor to make it feel as honest as possible. And in order to do that, I think, if you're watching something, and it's too technical, it takes me out of the story. So I don't know any other way other than to kind of put myself in that position and really feel it. And that ends up being, I don't advise it. It is exhausting.
I mean, you do really go through that journey with your character of being like, is she losing her mind? Is this stuff really
I
happening?
love that ambiguity. Yeah,
Mhm.
It becomes more and more kind of maniacal, and you really can't tell whether she's finding the truth or losing her.
Yeah.
Maybe it's both.
Maybe a little bit of both, yeah. But I love this movie. I had a hard time writing questions for it because I was like, I don't want to give it away to anybody.
I know,
but-
it's difficult to talk about. You did
Yeah.
well.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.